Okay, welcome. Fantasy Happy Hour, the finale. We've made it through the first season of doing these. I got to admit, at the start, I wasn't sure what it would even do or turn into, and I'd say pretty successful for how we've kind of done it. We'll definitely get more creative for next football season, a little bit more prepared. We started week 2, so if you're watching this, thanks. And we'll just jump into our Super Bowl showdown here and get into some picks. Taryn, I'll let you take things off before I jump into some of my thoughts and stats. But give us a breakdown for this Super Bowl 2021 COVID season. What a ride!
Yeah, we're gonna see some fans out there with a bunch of cutouts. I read today they're letting 25,000 people in, all have to be vaccinated people, and then they're gonna be sitting beside 30,000 cutouts of fans. So it'll be a blended crowd out there. But we got the defending Super Bowl champions here with the Kansas City Chiefs going up against the GOAT, looking at for his 7th Super Bowl in Tom Brady. I mean, the total here is 56 and a half, and that kind of speaks to what they expect out of this game. Chiefs are 3.5 point favorites. I mean, there is some rain in the forecast I'm seeing, but I'm doubting that's going to affect the game too much. If the wind gets up, watch that and maybe lean towards the run a little bit, but I doubt it affects the ball too much. I think when you're looking at this game, if you just start on the DK pricing, you look at the top 6, there's like, every guy there, and those are going to be the top 6 owned guys on this slate. I mean, you got your Mahomes, Kelsey, Hill, who are the top 3 highest priced. And then just under them, you got your Brady, Evans, Godwin. So you got your core of most of the offense between these two teams. If I lean to stacking one of that groupings of players, I lean to Mahomes, Kelsey, Hill. If you look at them last week, they put up a combined just shy, I think, of 100 points. I think it was 99.8. Kelsey had 39.8. Hill had 29.2, and Mahomes had 28.5. So their ceilings are just much higher, I find, than Brady, Evans, and Godwin. You'll see Brady spread the ball quite a bit more. So you won't see Evans have that 40-point game like Kelsey will, because Kelsey, is due for 18 targets probably in this game. And Hill is seeing just as much volume, I think, at this point, like close to 12, 14 targets a game. These two are just outrageous. And they've got to be probably one of the best tandems in football history for a quarterback to have. I mean, you got a speed demon and then a tight end that can beat everyone. But so when you go to captain, I think I lean Kelsey as my highest priority over Mahomes. Kelsey just sees that 30-point upside almost every game. I think his floor is like 20 points at this time. And if you're going to stack that up with Mahomes, you go there. Overall, you got to be a little different in a Super Bowl slate. And they announced the Millie Maker, and I think it's a $10 entry, and there's 650,000 entries. It's like nobody, that is going to be split like 50 ways at a minimum, probably. So, like, to only make a lineup that small, it's going to be tough. So, try to be different. And when I look to be different, I looked at the Bucks D. Bucks D in the last 2 games has been phenomenal. They've been getting to the quarterback. They've been running great in the flats to shut down the short pass game. I mean, I don't think they can stop Kelsey, which is the problem here. But I think they might be able to do for a pick or two. So maybe they're a good entry in that lower price range. Fournette, another great option here. He's been playing great, and Kansas City has a weaker run D. The Bucks run D is phenomenal. So I wouldn't play too much of the Kansas City running backs, but I do like Fournette a lot. He saw, I think it's 17, 22, and 23 touches over the last 3 weeks, with Ronald Jones kind of playing and not playing. Ronald Jones came back last week, was super inefficient. So I just don't see them going away from Fournette right now. They do tend to ride the hot hand. So watch if Jones busts one, maybe he is the play early in that game, but that would be a good way to be different because Fournette will definitely be higher owned than him. I expect Watkins and Brown to play. So with Watkins back, that kind of takes me a little less on Hardman. So I like Watkins a bit more. And both those players come in with the Q tag. So I think that people will kind of look away from those two in the passing game. It's a good way to get different. One of my favorite ways to be a little off is Daryl Williams, the running back for Kansas City. Stacking him with Mahomes, he's kind of came in and resurged since Clyde Edwards-Helaire wasn't playing too much the last 2 weeks, and he's kind of become their kind of split back with CEH. Le'Veon Bell plays 7 snaps a game, and he even said today in an announcement that was his expectation when he got signed, and that's what he wanted to be, was not a heavy use running back. So overall, I think those are kind of the picks I like in this game. maybe I'll let you speak to some picks. I got a few fades or guys I don't really like, but we'll chime you in here a little bit.
Hopefully some of those picks are not on my list here, but for the most part, I'm sitting kind of in a similar boat as you. I'm thinking I had 2 spots for captain. The obvious one you mentioned, Travis Kelsey. I mean, you look at his stats this year, 30.17 fantasy points per game average. You mentioned, his floor was probably 20, but for the most part, he's putting up over 30, 110%. I mean, I think he's the only option for the safe bet, right? He gets averaging 12 targets, over a TD a game. So you're good for a TD with him too. My other option, and just because it's a little bit biased, is going to TB12 as captain. I mean, Mahomes puts up more fantasy points, but I think in this, like if you're leaning that way anyways, you're going to go with Kelsey as your captain. But Tom Brady, 22.77 fantasy points per game, last 10 games, 2.3 TDs, and close pushing 300 yards. So if you get that bonus too, I mean, you just need that extra TD and bonus, and Brady's captain could easily pay off. I mean, we know he shines in Super Bowls. This is what, like 9th Super Bowl or something?
I don't know. Yeah, it's got to be 9, 10, 11, somewhere in there.
Yeah, crazy. So those are my 2 options for captains. Again, if you want to be different, I mean, you can throw in those jumble lines of where you're just throwing a random name in there. Maybe your second, third string receiver that doesn't necessarily see the most catches and just hope they pop off for a few TDs, have that game. Obviously, I think you need to have Mahomes in your stack. And not him and Brady's stats are so close. Like he averages 23.44, so half of a fantasy point more than him. 0.3 TDs less. He's at 2 even, and then he's at 286 yards instead of Brady's 287. So they're pretty close. They're putting up the same numbers as of the last 10 games. It's pretty bananas. But if you just consider your captain scenario there and which way you're thinking the game's going with your game script, you're going to be leaning Kelsey or Brady, in my opinion. One other option I really like, just again to mix it up here, going to a different receiver. You might have something different for Tampa Bay. And again, I don't know what's going on with COVID list. I know there's a few players on.
Marcus Robinson was the one I saw that's officially there.
I saw when I was looking and playing with budgets, I thought a good price. Mike Evans, 14.1, almost a TD a game, 60 yards. So again, hoping to get the few bonuses in this case. And then I also like having, depending on where you're leaning on the game, having one of the kickers, right?
Yeah,
there's Sukop or Butker. If you really want to be unique, maybe I'll touch on this though, but captaining one of those could also be interesting. I mean, last game to lay it on the line. So I'll let you take back over here and kind of give us some of your fades.
Yeah, the one fade I had was Kansas City running backs outside of Daryl Williams. I think most people think Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Le'Veon Bell has name value, but Daryl Williams has really been the guy since the playoffs started for them. And it had to do with injuries at first, but even last game with Clyde Edwards-Helaire back, you could play Daryl Williams. So I would fade Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's a small guy too. And you're going up against a linebacker core that's fast and big, and they shut down the run better than anyone. So being a small kind of agile running back might help them, but I just don't see it being a good option. And by saying that, maybe that's what everybody's thinking. So maybe that is the pivot play, right? Like, but another fade I had is actually Gronk. I actually don't like Gronk since the playoffs started. Brait has been way more used. Gronk has been used way more as a blocker. He's getting his 1 or 2 big shot plays a game. So if he catches that one, maybe that's the what you're banking on. But Brait's been the volume guy, getting closer to 5-6 targets through the playoffs so far. So I think you go there instead of Gronk. And then just look, you're going to have to pick right up top. So I think a sneaky way to maybe attack this is to say, you take Kelsey, you take Hill, but you fade Mahomes and say Daryl Williams runs 2 of those touchdowns in because they get to the 1. But Kelsey and Hill still score, the 100-yard bonus and 10 catches each. And, if your receivers outscore your quarterback substantially, that's when you can avoid the quarterback. And in Showdown, quarterbacks are going to be, 50 to 80% owned most of the time. And in this one, I think both these quarterbacks are going to verge up to that 70, 80% owned. So just by fading one of them, you're already gaining a bit of a leverage on the field here, especially in such a big slate. So.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm not sure what to expect to be. Obviously, I mean, I'm indifferent to both these teams. Either one, it's going to be a good story, like Mahomes
Yeah.
back to back or Brady. If he retired after this, that'd be cool. If we knew it was the last season and he wins, I mean, by the sounds of it, he's going to play again. Um, but yeah, I mean,
This
this,
should be a fun Super Bowl.
yeah, it's
Like
going to
a
be. It's
really
not going to be
fun Super
boring.
Bowl. Yeah.
Or
That's
well,
very
let's
true.
hope not until we get another like 6-3 game or something.
Yeah, well, I don't think that'll happen. I don't even think that's in the variety.
Then whoever's got a defense or both defenses,
double defense.
yeah, they're winning and they're laughing, and that's probably going to be very different. But yeah, if anyone who's watching this, and if you've watched more than one of these, well, thanks. If you're watching it for the first time, tune back next year. We'll have it a little bit bumped up and a little bit better. But yeah, we appreciate it and best of luck. And hopefully, if you like hockey, you'll watch some of our other hockey and coming soon other sports ones.
There we go.